for all those joining us and for our panel, we really appreciate everybody joining us. This is our first time doing this, so we've had a little hiccups to get going, but I think we're ready. And to the panel, Coach Casey Taylor, who's now at Capital Christian and has had success wherever he's gone. For many of us, we know him from his days at Del Oro, but moving over to Capital Christian, he's continued success with that program. So we appreciate you, Coach Taylor, for taking time out of your day and look forward to diving in with you. So thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. I've never done this before, so I'm kind of excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, us too. So we appreciate all you guys being our test run, because that's really what this is. But I think we're going to get a lot out of it. And down there in Oakdale's Coach Trent Merzon, and he kind of defines success when it comes to building up a program. And if you've ever been to an Oakdale game, that's what high school football is meant to be, right there, watching games in Oakdale. And Coach Trent has really built that program into a very successful football team every single year, and you know what you're going to get from Oakdale whenever you step on the field with them. And I'm glad to hear he's also a softball coach. So we have that in common too. So Coach, appreciate you joining us very, very much.
Yeah, this is exciting stuff. Thanks for asking me to be a part of such a tremendous staff here.
Yeah, you bet. Well, and then finally the other guy, he's not as good looking as his brother, but he's done an okay job at his program at Placer High School. An alumni of the school, has come back to Auburn and really made that program to what all of us who grew up there and played for Placer, and he's rebuilt that program to what it is supposed to be, and that's the Hillman, and that's Coach Joey Montoya. So all you guys, all of us appreciate your time, like I've said over and over, and I'll keep saying. So thanks again for joining us. And we're gonna jump right in, and kind of the theme of this webinar is going to be building a successful program, which all of you guys have done and continue to do, no matter where you have gone. And so I'm going to just kind of bounce around to each coach and ask you a question. And if you go too long, I'll mute you. No, but really just going to ask you some questions, guys, and get your take on it. And hopefully for those watching, they'll get something out of it. And we'll also have this on demand to share with other coaches. And I know everybody watching, they're not able to speak, but to hear you guys talk is an honor. So Coach Taylor, I'm going to start it up with you and what you did at Del Oro, building that program up and continuing this success there. And now that you've jumped over to a new school at Capital Christian, almost in a way starting over. In a way, I know they had success there too, but what were the first steps as a coach leaving Del Oro and coming over to Capital Christian? What was the big differences for you, and where did you begin?
Well, I think both coaches would agree. I think all three of us when I was at Del Oro were from great communities where football is important. The community gives great support. Even Del Oro going to Capital was a little different because I really didn't know my community down there. I really felt it was all about the church and around it, and it's a big-time commuter school. So that's really kind of been some of our, not struggles, but some of our challenges is really finding what our community is. So I think it's been very important for us to establish culture with a bunch of different kids from different areas of the city of Sacramento. So I think that's probably our challenge of creating that culture. But I think that's the key to successful programs is really finding what your culture about, what your community is about. I think what we do a good job, and what I did at Del Oro is, it's really about the kids, and a lot of people give it lip service, but I think we do a real good job of really getting to know them and letting them know we care about them. And I think coaching kids these days, it really doesn't matter what you run or what you do until the kids know you care about them. And we, like I said, we'd have no problem telling the kids we love them and those types of things. And we really take a lot of time off the field to make those connections, because we feel like if we can get the kids believing in us and believing in one another, we have a good chance of making some stuff happen. So I think that's kind of our challenge. We're at Capitol right now is building a lot of, with new people coming in and where they were at and the school kind of changing, the demographics of the school. That's been a challenge for us, but I think we're going in the right direction. We have a lot of great people in place. I think the administration is a huge part. Rev Cole at Capitol's got a great vision of where we're going. I think it starts at the top. If you don't have a person at the top that believes in the process of what you're about, you're going to struggle. And I think it's a filter down effect. We have a great athletic director in Aaron Garcia that believes in the vision of where we want to go with sports and great admin on campus. It's buying the staff in, and I think the whole school as a whole. And I think that that's what we're continuing to do and trying to do and getting better. And I think that's a struggle. It's a daily thing. It's not everybody says, how's the off season going? How are things going? I mean, to me, I don't know about these guys, but the off season's harder than the regular season. At least at the regular season, from 3 to 6, you're out there on the football field. But off season, you're doing all those little things. You go to work and have 2 or 3 things on your list, and it turns into about 25. So I think that's the main thing is just a lot of good relationships and trying to build within your community and finding what your community is and really building on that culture and working on it every day.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of to bounce over to Coach Merzon and at Oakdale, and I've only been to a few games at your guys' place, but I have been to some. And when you go to Oakdale, there's a culture that's been established there. Where did that begin for you as a coach, and how does that continue for you at the school when you go to a Mustang game, everybody's going to be there to support you? How does that begin?
Yeah, that's kind of a double-edged sword. It's always kind of been that way. I played here obviously, and then I came back and was an assistant coach, and I coached at all 3 levels here. So I've got to see everything, and our stands are full. I mean, our community really supports our kids. They're there every night. Whether we're playing well or we're not, we're playing great. It really doesn't matter. They're there, and they like to be heard. So, I mean, it's fun. It's a great environment. Our kids are truly blessed to play here, and our community's a little bit spoiled, and their expectations every single year are sky high. And believe it or not, though, I do think that's a pretty cool thing because that really gets our kids motivated in the off season. We have a purpose. To get up at 6:15 year round, we lived at 6:15 year round, and our kids know what's waiting for them. We just finished our schedule next year. Our home opener is going to be against Liberty High School, defending Division I champs, and the place is going to be rocking. And the Coach Partridge came over from Liberty because he said that he really wanted to see the environment. He's heard everything about the corral. He wants his kids to experience it, and so it's awesome. It allows us to bring in big name opponents, and it gets our kids motivated in the off season for sure because they know that I'm going to bring in big name opponents, and we better get ready because the storm's coming.
Yeah, and back to you, Coach Taylor. You've always been that kind of coach too, to bring in the big name opponents, and you've never shied away from competition. And sounds like Coach Merzon's the same way, and I know Joey's the same way. You guys, you don't fear competition. You go after it. Coach Taylor, you got to unmute. All right, we'll get back to Coach Taylor there. Looks like you're.
How about now?
There we go.
Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut in there, Joe. Sorry about that. Yeah, we started playing great teams. Yeah, I think when we were in the SFL early on in my career at Del Oro, there were some great teams we were playing. We were having a hard time with speed and things like that. I think the more I was in it, my goal every year, I mean, we want to win every game, but we really want to find the best version of that team. Really is the best team. If it's a 13-0 team or I don't know, 6-4 team. I just think find the best version of yourself, of your team, and going with that. And I thought playing good teams really prepared us for playoff runs and things like that late in the season. And I thought that's what we could see where we were at. And we had some success against some teams from out of the town, and we got our butt whooped a few times. But I think as a whole, it made our guys tougher. and understand that we played against great talent from around the state and out of state. And when we got into our playoff runs, we had seen guys that were faster, bigger, and stronger. And I think that's been a key to our success of where I've been.
Yeah, for sure. And bouncing over to Joey, and what has been kind of your keys, if you look back over your time at Placer, what has been some things that stand out to you that has led to 11 straight postseason runs, a section title last year or a few years ago, and making that deep run? As you look back, what has been some of the most important things in your mind?
It's a great question. I think consistency in our staff has been key. And for me, here at Placer, we're very lucky, kind of bouncing off what Casey said, with a supportive administration. I've got 6-7 guys that are on staff, just on my varsity staff alone. And we got several down below as well. And we've had very, very low turnover with our staff. So I think establishing a staff and consistency and putting guys in positions to thrive. And we've really made a huge turn these last few years on focusing on our lower levels. And I think a lot of times programs just kind of look at the JV and the freshman level as an afterthought. And I think it's one of the most crucial things, and one of the biggest mistakes coaches can make is ignoring the lower levels. And we've been on a mission to really be have the same language, same drills and things like that. And I think, kind of going off what Trent has over at Oakdale, just building off your tradition, building off the things that have been established, the fact that we've, won 7 straight league titles and been in the playoffs that many times. We don't talk about that ever, but I think the kids know it's there. And I think that kind of has added to our culture. And now, we lost in the finals this year, and we came back in January, and the culture, because the culture's already there, the kids just went right to work, and we've been rocking and rolling. And so I think those 3 things are greatly important.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this panel is you guys have all played each other multiple times, and you've been to each other's fields, and you know each other. And I think it's amazing that you guys could get on this panel and share success stories, even though you've been heated rivals at some time during the course of your career, and I'm sure you will be moving forward as well. So I know the guy in the square above you beat you this year, so I think that's awesome that you guys can get together and talk about it. And kind of bouncing off your youth program topic, Joey, what about at even the having that youth program, like a junior Hillman program? How important is that in your success? Does it start with those guys, or are you more talking freshman JV, or do you even go down to that level?
Well, I was talking primarily about our freshman JV levels, but we're involved with our junior program as well, and we're fortunate to have one. We've had great presidents in place there. We have another one there right now, Jim Sutton, and we've had Chris Ferreira, Top Peak. We've had a lot of great guys in charge, and I think that's another push. That's kind of another goal for this year, is to get even more involved with those guys, because the quicker that our lower levels runs our offense, defensively we're kind of on a different page. Fundamentally we haven't been as sound as I would like it to be, and so I'm getting more involved this year in particular with the lower levels, because the earlier the kids are hearing the same thing, the better for us.
Yeah, for sure. And Coach Merzon, you mentioned earlier about 6:15. You guys are all getting up still, and you're training. How do you keep your kids motivated in the off season? Is it built around past success? Is it built around here's where we want to go? How do you get the most out of your kids right now?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question. We I saw Coach Humphers. I took a trip to Nevada Union with a fellow wing T guy, Brandon Harris, probably about 10 years ago and watched Coach Humph up there at Nevada Union do his AM stuff. And because I knew we needed to do something a little bit different. Maybe it's 12 years ago. And we got up there and watched them play football really outside in freezing cold weather at 5:30 in the morning. And I thought, you know what, we're going to try to do that at our place. And it was a tough sell initially, but we got her rolling now. Our first day of second semester in January, all of our seniors are out of the class, and we put all of our sophomores in the class. And we hit the ground running. The first day after a 2.5-week break at Christmas, you know, we had 58 kids there waiting for me at 6:15 in the morning, so they'd probably get up at 5:30. But we didn't have a kid missing. And our kids like to lift. Our kids love playing football. Our kids love each other. They really do. And Coach Taylor talked about it too. You know, as football guys, we have this unique way of loving our kids. And it's not really, you know, our kids don't look at it as what we do to them. They look at it as what we're doing for them. And we're hard on them. We ask them a lot. But I truly believe that if these kids know that you have their best interest at heart, then you can pretty much do and say whatever you want. And they believe in you. And here they do believe in what we're doing. They believe in the process. We're process over prize people here. And I love that process. I love the fact that we're grinding right now. We don't do any football in that 0-period class. It's all weight training or it's all speed stuff. We'll do silly things and we'll compete. We'll play fun games in there sometimes, trying to teach some leadership skills. But for the most part, our kids come with a great attitude, and we're lifters, and they believe in each other. And part of it, they know our schedule. They know that, you know, our preseason schedule this year is brutal. We open up with our rival up the hill in Sonora, and then we play Liberty, then we play at Aptos, and then we play Palma. And they know that if we don't have a great off season, you know, they don't want to be that group that comes through here and struggles, because like we've already talked about, our stands are full. This community is excited, and they don't want to disappoint this community. They love playing for each other, and they love playing for the zip code.
Yep. And Coach Taylor, when a kid enters your program, what's the message that you and your staff are presenting to the kids that's coming into your program? How do you get them to buy into what you're talking about, and how do you get a kid to really understand how much you care for them and why you're there and what you're trying to do as a staff?
Yeah, I think you got to work into your program, you know, some character development and be able to have talks with the kids and get to know them a little bit. And we're going to take care of our kids. You know, obviously there's a football part of it, but we're going to take care of them academically and socially, and be there with them on a lot of that. We're working on some mentorship programs with our guys. I think that's been kind of different for me. I think a lot like Joe and Trent, having the morning weights. I think at Del Laurel we had it. You get it pretty dialed, and people just kind of are used to it, and kids are coming through your programs. That's just kind of what they do. So it's been interesting for me starting over. We've had we've had a lot of success in the first 2 years. We got a lot of work to do on the daily competitive stuff. So I think we just really want to take time to build those relationships, really go over each kid and see where they're at, understand their story. We're our group at Capitals, very diverse, coming from a lot of different walks of life, from guys on our team that are, you know, CEOs of families, from CEOs of big companies to people that are worried about eating that day. So we have a big variety of socioeconomics. We're very diverse in our race now. A lot of that stops to stuff. And being one of the main reasons I left was because of, you know, going to a private school and be able to talk about, you know, Jesus and about spirituality, you know. So we have people on our campus that are new to it, and some that have been going since they were little kids. So we have a lot of different dynamics of where we're at. So I think it's very important for us as a staff, not only our football staff, but kind of our support staff, to really do a good job of getting to know these kids individually. I think one of the advantages I've had there is we're not a big school. We don't have a lot of numbers. So in our whole program, we have about 60 kids, and we only have a varsity and a JV. So I think with the numbers being lower, we've been able to do a good job of really creating some relationships. And piggyback off of Joe with the lower levels, we're way involved. We feel with coaching and where we're at and always have, it's football is a vehicle to teach life lessons to these boys. For me, it's like sports ministry. I mean, it doesn't really matter how we do on the field winning. It's about how are these guys, you know, 10, 15 years when they leave our programs, if we're winning. We've had a lot of great men come through our program doing great things. We've had some guys that have struggled and haven't done real well since they've lost their program. But for us, it's about making better men coming through our program. We really adapt to our youth. We're way involved in our youth, and we feel like we need to work with kids 8 to 18. I felt we did a real good job at Del Oro once they got to varsity, and by the time they were done, a senior, right when they were starting to be good leaders and to be to serve our campus and to serve our team, they were kind of gone. So we really at Del Oro, before I left, probably the last 4 years, we coach every level. So you'll see me at the freshman games coaching, you'll see me at the JV games coaching, you'll see me at a lot of the junior games down there. I think it's really to create relationships. There were times at Del Oro we'd have 60, 70 kids come out as freshmen, and then we're only having 20 on senior night. So we were trying to find out where's that going? We can't lose 40 or 50 kids. So I think what we did is really invest in going back to our junior program, especially the 7th and 8th graders, of really getting to know who they are, getting to know the coaches that are influencing them down at that level. And then obviously the freshman, JV, and varsity, we coached all levels. We program coach. We don't have titles. We're program coaches, and we see it as an advantage of having as many games as we coach, and a way to impact our players and impact our community, and really let the kids know we care about them, And so I think that's been a lot of success for us. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of time, but again, it's coaching's a special job, and I'm worried about, I know they were saying Joe being the young guy, but, I think all of us are about 15, 20 years in, but we're losing that next wave of coaches. And I don't see a lot of people getting into teaching and coaching because it's a tough job. So I think that, we got to understand we have an important job, and we got to use that vehicle of football to really make a difference in these kids' lives, because a lot of them don't have any positive, no role models in their life.
Yeah, no doubt. That's for sure. And it's an amazing thing to be a coach. And for going back to a point that Coach Merzon made about going up to see Nevada Union and watch Coach Humphreys, how do you guys, and I'll ask Joey to kind of play off that, how do you guys as coaches get better? And is that something you guys do often, is connect with other peers, go watch other practices? Is it, and I'll ask Joey first and I'll kind of go around. There are some coaches listening to this right now that are listening to you guys. What do you guys do as coaches to get better? And Joey, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a common business practice. It's called best practices. And my grandfather, a longtime successful coach, always taught me, surround yourself with the best people and learn from guys that do it right, guys that win year in and year out. And so, there's only one way to get better. You got to meet with people that do it right. And so, Merzon and I, we're constantly talking. We got a kind of a group of us that run the same offense that talk. Casey and I have talked several times. You go to clinics, you do things like that. But what I found is the one-on-one conversations with the coach, the little wing tee get-togethers that we have with each other, where we're bouncing ideas off each other. That's really where you get a lot of the bulk of the stuff. But absolutely, I mean, you have to get better in our profession, because more so than a lot of other things, in the education world, football coaches are year-round dudes, and we're constantly trying to get better. And, I know for us, the moment the season ends, I'm constantly reevaluating ways that we can get better, ways that we can improve, things that we dropped the ball on, things that we did well, things to build off of, and meeting with the right people to improve myself. And so there's no doubt that's a huge aspect of coaching.
Yeah, and I can attest to that, knowing you and being around you, that you're always constantly trying to get better as a coach. And Coach Merzon, you mentioned going up and watching Nevada Union. Is that something that you do on a frequent basis, like connect with Joey and others, just to continue to build your craft as a good coach?
Yeah, absolutely. Joey mentioned it, the wing tee, running the same offense. We do have our little secret society stuff where we get together and we talk, and we just share ideas or what's working, what's not working. But, I just truly believe that there's so many different great ways to improve coaching. To me, coaching is teaching. And as a teacher, it's all the teaching strategies that we're fortunate enough to have. We have such an advantage as a teacher versus the people that don't have never been taught how to teach, so for me, I always like to go back and think of new strategies and how to teach, how to get a message across. Coach Taylor talked about it. It's not just football stuff that we're trying to do. It's building relationships. There's a lot of different ways to get your kids to buy into what it is you're selling, because we're all salesmen. If you can't get your kids to buy in to the greater good or to what you're trying to teach, then you're not going to be successful. So I do spend energy in the off season, not just talking football, but just new strategies and teaching. I'm a growth mindset guy, and we try to encourage our kids to be a growth mindset. We live in a world right now where nobody appreciates struggle. If you're involved in softball, like you said you are, you understand the silver bracket championships. We coach a sport that doesn't have silver bracket championships. When we lose in the playoffs, we're over. We're not like basketball anymore. We don't get to advance both teams. We don't get when we lose, we're done. But it's okay to struggle. It's okay to lose. And I think Casey talked about that too, is our preseason is built on struggle. I want to see our kids struggle. I play teams that I know we're probably not going to beat, because I want to see how we're going to respond after we get beat. And I truly believe that there can be no growth without struggle. And but that's so counterproductive to what the youth sports scene is like today. People will spend tremendous energy to avoid struggle, so they can put on social media how great their little darling is, or how great their little Billy Bob is, and none of it's real. But for us, unfortunately, we don't get to hide behind a highlight film as a coach. We get them all, and I think that's part of the problem with football and sports in general. Like, everybody wants to put together a highlight film right now. They want to put together their 5 or 6 best plays, and anybody can look good. It's amazing how many times we play somebody and we kick their butt, and we see the kids on that team put together a great highlight film of 15, 20 plays against us. But life's not a highlight film. Unfortunately, you get me in good and bad. I don't get to coach as a highlight film. So that's part of my off season, is just thinking of different ways and better ways to communicate, better ways to hire good quality coaches. I'm blessed. I have a great coaching staff right here. And just like Joey said, we've been together for a long time. We're buddies. We're close. And being close and being buddies allows us to get after each other and to challenge each other. But I have my circle of peers that I communicate with. Matt Ray at Antelope is a guy that I really respect and think he's young. And he's young, Joe. Matt Ray's actually young. Yeah, I know. But we do have these coaches that we go reach out to. And as coaches, you talked about how we're rivals. The 3 of us have all coached against each other. And but, we do have something in common, and we're in this for the long haul. And we probably have tremendous respect for each other, not just as coaches, but as human beings. And I'm glad to hear Casey talk about his sports ministry. The other commonality we have, I'm not sure Joe's going to mention, is all 3 of us are Christians. We all love the Lord, and there's a foundation to everything we do. And that is my foundation, loving Jesus and openly talking about it here in our program. And we're able to do that here, and our kids buy into it. And I look forward to I love this time of year. I love the growth part in this time of year. It's fun.
Yeah, and Coach Taylor, for you, kind of been a different few years for you as you bounced over from a public school over to a private. Was there mentors or people you looked up to or talked to about making that transition? And has there been a big transition out that you've had to kind of learn and overcome? Just kind of talk us through that process of bouncing from one school to another, and that learning curve, and who you may have reached out to.
I think it's very important in life. I mean, even as, being a successful coach, what have you, is having mentors in your life and life coaches and people you can bounce off, and having people in your corner that will tell you the truth, and I think that's a big part. I just think where I was at, I'd been somewhere for a long time, and had an opportunity come up, and I just felt it was a good time to kind of influence another community. And that was it. And like I said, a lot of people I reach to now, going over there and making some changes, and it's kind of I felt at Del Oro we kind of had it to where we were at, and kind of took it as the highest level I thought I could take it, and I just wanted a new challenge. So I've got a challenge with a lot of the daily stuff over there, but I'm enjoying it. I love it, and that's, again, it's really about your passion and about your purpose of using using football like for a vehicle to try to make these kids better. It's got to be tough, and it is. But I'm enjoying everything. I think like back to, we're always assessing what our program's doing and evaluating what we're doing. And I think that's what I really love about coaching is we're always learning. And I think Trent hit it on us being teachers. I think that's what brings us here is we want to get better. And I think, from having a couple football schemes you want to do, or it's a leadership concept, technology is always changing. Like today, I've never done this before. Always learning and making sure you're kind of up with the times of things going on. And I think that's been the key of kind of going with that. 'Cause I think a lot of people just take it for granted and they don't get better in all facets of what you're doing and really evaluate. I think we've done a real good job in my coaching career getting feedback from our coaches and anybody that's got hands on our program that things we're doing good, things we're doing bad, and how we can get better. And I think a lot of people today in society are real good about telling you what your problems are, but I want people on my staff that understand, hey, we got some problems, we got to fix them, and let's work on being a little more proactive to get a better result and not complain about it. Let's do something about it. And you got to go out and talk to people and do some things. And, I've had a lot of ideas that have been great, and I've had a lot of ideas that didn't work, and you just got to reevaluate and go. I haven't got an invite to this wing tee thing, by the way. So I'm a little upset about that. But I've been pretty good defending it. But anyway, maybe I'll get an invite this year, and I can learn how to run that one Z sweep play that we can't stop.
Yeah, well, before we started, we asked coaches to kind of submit any questions they may have for you. So I have a few of those that I want to bounce off you. But before we get to that, I think what people don't see is kind of the talk we had before we even started this, when coaches just get together and they get to talk to each other because they have so much in common, and the stories you guys share with each other and the good times you have when you all get together. I know many of us can just sit in a room and just listen to you guys talk about the goods and bads that you've had in coaching. So I think that's an amazing thing. And when you guys get together, it sounds like it's nothing but positive, good times, and you can reflect back on the good things you guys are doing in coaching. So,
yeah, I also think a good point on that is other coaches are the only ones that understand what you're going through. I think as a young coach myself, everybody's competitive and, we're better than them or this and that, caught up in stats. But, Joey and Trent are two guys to understand it's hard to be a Christian man in today's society. It's hard to have a family. It's hard to be a good husband. It's hard to do those things. And the sacrifices we make for our teams and our communities, the only guys that understand it are Joe and Trent. I mean, those are guys that understand what we go through. And you can bounce ideas or talk to your buddies outside of football, and they don't get it. They don't get it. So I think, we're a fraternity, and, the game of football is being challenged. And I think us as coaches, we got to really uplift one another and really promote what we're about and what a great profession we have. We play for 48 minutes on Friday or Saturday. Hey, we're going to get after it and compete. But after the game, before the game, there's no reason we can't be an example of good sportsmanship and give each other a hug and say, great job, and respect what the other guys are doing.
Yeah. And do you guys, is there a certain thing that you guys see out there that is a threat to high school football? The obvious one is risk and health, but are you guys seeing anything out there that stand out to you as a threat to high school sports? Casey, you mentioned just younger coaches wanting to coach. If we don't have great mentors like you guys, then we're not going to have good people coaching our kids. So is there anything else, or are those two things that really stand out to you? I'll start with you, Casey.
I just think we don't have a lot of teachers now in schools that are coaching. I think you look at a lot of head coaches around the area or coaches in general off campus, and not that it's a bad thing. Some of my best coaches have been off campus coaches, but I think either administrations of schools got to understand that we're bringing off campus people to work with our kids, which is great. That's fine. But we also got people on campus working. We got to find a fine line. To me, a teacher isn't an 8 to 3 job. It's one teaching, an academic thing, but also being involved if it's a sport or a club or those types of things. And I see too many people doing it for a couple of years and getting out, 'cause it's tough, you know. And I think if we don't get good men or mentors or women, any coaches, I don't care what you are, but we don't have good coaches in these great communities, things can fall apart real quick. It takes a long time to build something and build the culture, you know, these programs have, but it's real quick to lose it. It's real quick to lose it. And I think the more if you see that starting to happen, that's going to be a bad thing. So I think that's very important. I mean, obviously there's some safety with, you know, concussions has obviously been a big deal and cutting things, but I think the game's as safe as it's been. I mean, I know with us, we don't tackle in practice, you know, we're tag off. I mean, I think a lot of that's there. Hydration. I remember when I played in the 80s, you know, it wasn't good. We had salt tablets and smelling sniffs and never drank. And we got thousands of dollars worth of hydration now. We take care of the kids, feed them. I mean, it's really a lot, you know? So I think on that end, I think back to, you know, assessing what we're doing, I think we're all caught up on a lot of that stuff and doing our best for those. So I think it's as safe as it's been. And it's a tough sport. I think that's what's really happening with the way it's changed with social media and its easy outlets. It's hard to work. It's not easy like Trent getting up at 6:15 and getting out there and going. It takes a special breed. If it was that easy, the whole school would be out there. And that's why it's, I think, such a special sport and a special, you know, a team thing where it's hard, you know. And how do you face adversity? You know, a lot of people want to quit, and I think football really teaches you, you know, you got to get up and get back after it. And I think that that's why I hope we don't lose track of, you know.
Yeah, guys, anything else to add to that, or we kind of?
No, I thought he did a great job explaining it. You know, I think, you know, the media is kind of running crazy with the concussion stuff. And hey, listen, I understand the concussions are serious and it's a dangerous sport, but we also live in a world where 7 teenagers a day die in a car accident. You know, that's crazy numbers. You know, I teach health here at Oakdale High School, so I mean, I get all these numbers. We do these studies, and you don't hear anybody talking about reducing the number of teen drivers. If that many people died in a football game or football, you know, I believe it's like 77 a week teenagers die in this country in a motor vehicle accident. Do the numbers on that, but you don't hear anybody talking about that. You know, I get a little frustrated a little bit because I see the other side of it. Football's dangerous. Yes, it is. Concussions are real. Yes, they are. We've had very few concussions here. Like Casey said, we've kind of adapted our practice style. We don't bang that much in practice. We seldom go to the ground. And I think, you know, our 3 programs have to be 3 of the most physical programs around. So it's not like we're not physical on Friday nights. We are. But I just don't think you have to, you know, play like we used to play in the 80s. And, man, water never tasted so good, you know. But we just live in a different generation. You know? People are afraid to drink out of the hose anymore, man. For when I grew up, that was the best water there was, and especially if it was the neighbor's hose. For some reason, it was colder over there. And now everybody's got their little canister with their own water because we've got to stay hydrated all day long. And, you know, it's just a different world we live in, so we got to be careful with it. But at the same time, man, there's so many lessons to be learned in this great game. It truly is a great game. And I think the best thing about this game is that it's hard. And the same thing that's driving people away, the same thing that makes it so valuable, it's hard. And, but it does prepare you for hard things in life. And it goes back to that growth mindset, accepting struggle as an opportunity to grow. Being a parent's hard. Nothing harder than being a parent. And he just said he's expecting his 3rd. So he obviously hasn't figured that out yet. But we're excited for him. But football just prepares you for life like no other game. There's that you get the element. It's probably the only game that starts when it's too hot to be outside and it ends when it's too cold to be outside. But it's just, there's nothing like it. There's really nothing like it, man. The cleats on the concrete, it's special. It's special, and I still love the game more than as much as I ever have.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to add to it, you know, first of all, I played in the 90s, but so I can't relate with the older guys. But you know, I think the other thing too that we forget about as teachers and educators, and I think that coaches of any sport do to take away from kids' experiences is to expect them to play only one sport. And I actually see in our neck of the woods, I have not seen a huge drop off because of concussions. I've seen more of a drop off because kids are gonna, you know, we've got 20 professional baseball players, you know, or a guy that's gonna go to the NBA. Which is fine, you know. Hey, we support kids having dreams and all those things. There's nothing wrong with that, but when coaches, don't allow kids to play multiple sports and you're pushing kids to play one thing, at Placer, we have 1,200 kids. And so our athletes have to play multiple sports. And so I think that's another thing that as a high school, as an educator, as a coach, you got to promote that. You got to be in constant communication with your other sports coaches. You got to respect them when they're in their season. Our kids lift year round. They lift on game days, but at the same time, we're not going to put a kid in a position to hurt himself or not be at his best to perform in a baseball game. And so I think parents, coaches, when they're telling kids to just do one thing, I think it really robs kids of really getting the total experience at the high school.
Yeah. One of the questions that one of the coaches sent in to ask is, in what ways do you guys build team bonding? And I'll start with you, Coach Taylor. Is there things that you do as a coach to build kind of that team bonding? Does it start in the weight room? Or are you guys going out off campus? Or what's some of the things that you do as a team?
I think it's kind of an all year round thing, but in that weight room is usually a great place to start, of getting guys working hard and holding them accountable. I heard both guys say, we like to have fun in it too. We're going to work real hard, but like on Fridays for us, it's kind of a game day where we'll work out for a long time, last 15 minutes. We might play a dodgeball game or, basketball or something like that, but kind of compete a little bit, kind of make it fun with that. I think it's very important to get your school active off campus. I know at Del Oro, we were very involved in the literacy movement. We went and read to kids in the community. I think it's great for kids to get out and see other kids in their community make an impact, besides football, but on that end of it. I think anytime you can get out and do those types of things, being involved on campus, those are things we're trying to do right now at Capital. We're not there yet by no means, and we're trying to get that school spirit up, and I think all three schools, when I was at Del Oro, obviously Oakdale and Placer, they got great rallies and, fans, and it's really special, and I think when you have that and leave and then try to recreate it, it's really tough. It's really tough. I think the more you can get involved with other sports, the more you can have those conversations. I think coaches get too caught up in trying to get another 15-minute drill in a football or another 15 minutes of weights, and really you need to sit down and talk to your kids. We do a lot of feedback with them. We'll send stuff. We'll bring up questions and have them write on cards and kind of see where it filters a little bit. We're always evaluating where are we at from a 1 to 10 on team chemistry, and we'll kind of get some feedback on that. We like to have fun. We cook a lot of hot dogs and hamburgers and do a lot of barbecue stuff. So I think you got to make it fun for the kids. But I would say that's kind of what we do. We try to do a good job of working them hard, have fun with it, and just kind of going with the thing. It's different teams are different spots. We've had teams that have maybe were young and came back, and we were very, had a lot of experience. And you got to find ways to make it fun for them, so we'd find ways to go out and we did a lot of bowling, Madden tournaments, win campouts, there's a lot of stuff like that. And then there's some teams that are real green and young, and you got to work at that base level to try to build a good foundation with the relationship. It was hard going over there and not knowing any of these kids. I had a great staff. Back to continuity, I've had at Del Oro, I had the same guys, just like those two guys for 10, 15 years, a great staff. But when you leave and only one guy goes with you, you got 14 new guys you're trying to meet, and then with new players. So I think a lot of it was really taking that time to make those personal connections with these kids. And I think especially Capital, where I was at, is letting these kids know we're not leaving. This is what we're about. We're here. A lot of the kids and, the male figures in their lives are there and gone and moving this and that. And, it's the first time some of these kids, went to Idaho there was 8 of our guys never been on a plane before. But a lot of things like that were just new and hadn't done, experienced, and just kind of working through those issues. And you got to understand where these kids are coming from. All the kids are different, we've got different, like I said, we got kids from all over, from different experiences, different ways, a ton of different ways. I think the more you can find ways to get them involved and get to know them off the field is very, very important, because you can't coach kids and get on them when you really don't know what's going on. I'll give you a good example. When I first got at Capital, kid was showing up late and was really riding them pretty good. And you find out that he, dad died, dad got shot, went through some things, and he's a minute late to workouts, and I'm on him real hard. It's like, well, you kind of hear a story and get to know him about, and you kind of go, well, maybe a minute late isn't a big deal, So
Right.
I think it's very important to kind of understand that of who are your kids, where it's at. You got to hold them accountable once you get to know them. But again, until they know you care about them, and until they know you're on their side to try to help them out, really don't matter, because you're not going to get the best out of them. We're trying to find the best version of themselves. So that's one thing we talk about is just, what's the best, and then have them evaluate and write goals down and stuff, and try to hold them accountable for their goals. I think is very, very important too, because a lot of times these kids, I heard with social media and stuff, they'll put stuff up. This is what I want to do. Well, what are you doing to make that happen? So we'll try to do some real small goals and some big goals, and try to work them and help them out, academically, socially, and, athletically. So I would say that.
Yeah, great stuff. And Joey, to you, I know you guys go camping and do some other things. What are some things you guys do with the players to make sure that they're connecting with you as the coaches and just each other as well?
I think there's something reverent to breaking bread together, from a family standpoint, but also with your team. And so, obviously the weight room from January to throughout the whole season is obviously crucial. You're doing things in there throughout the year to build that team bond. But for me, I see the biggest changes happen when we get into the season. During the summer and into the season, we do a team bonding trip. We go up camping at Scotts Flat Lake. We get boats and different things. We have fun together. We laugh together. We break bread together. We eat together. We share a meal together. We talk about life. We talk about things other than football. And then throughout the course of the season, we have 2 dinners together. We eat. We have a Thursday night dinner as a team. We'll go to different parents' houses, different people in the community. It's a great way to get your community involved. We have businesses host us. We have parents host us. We have alumni host us, and that's always a great thing. And then we have a pregame dinner as well on Fridays, where we're twice a week. Breaking bread together. And I think that's been a huge part of us building relationships, us creating that bond. On Friday, we have pregame skits. Coaches all say something. We do something, we laugh. I don't think you have to be at a 10 at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. I think that's foolish personally. And so, we try to laugh and get some of the nerves out there. And so those things have really, really helped us. But if you're going to really get to the nitty gritty of how you're going to have success, it's as both these guys have already said, it's not what it's do you care about me, and do these guys care for each other? And if you can create that bond and that brotherhood, you're going to have a chance to be successful.
Yeah, and Trent, anything to build off what those guys are saying or add to that you guys do?
Yeah, for us, we don't do any of the trips. I'm hoping none of my kids are listening today. But, for us, it goes back to those mornings. We have 55 kids that share 16 showers every single morning. Nothing gets kids to know each other better than getting ready for school every single morning. It's funny watching them in the morning. Every group comes in. You got these moms that try to feed more than she can, and then by January she's done feeding her, the 12 or whatever. But just listening to our kids get ready in the morning, listening to them get in the, take turns in the shower. I'm not sure why we only have 16 showers here, and it's amazing how many we go on the road now and nobody seems to have showers that work anymore. We played out Wood, and they just built this brand new facility, $8 million, whatever it costs, and they had no showers. And everybody's like, your kids still shower? I'm like, yeah, our kids shower every morning together. It's, but there's something to be said about that. Our kids spend so much time together. And as that's part of my gig, man. I am up in their business. I know our kids real well. I know their grades. I know their struggles. We know them and we talk and we like to laugh. We like to make fun of each other. We tease each other a lot. And, it's just part of the process.
Yeah. Hey guys, we're approaching an hour, so I want to end with kind of one final question for each of you, and this really goes back to just kind of foundation stuff, and really how do you build community support, and how do you get school administration to buy in to what you're doing? Because it sounds like at the core, community support and your school supporting you are really fundamental to being a successful program. So Trent, I'll start with you. Where does that begin?
Yeah, it's paramount. You know, we're really good around here at getting our kids to buy into each other. Our kids consistently for the last 25 years have sacrificed individual glory for team success. And you get your community to buy in by giving them a good product. Our community truly doesn't, I don't want to say they don't care if we win or lose. They do, obviously. But what they want is they want to see kids that have character. They show up and they watch how our kids respond to adversity. And I hear as many comments, you know, about our kids' character as I do about their athletic endeavors. We have a quarterback club here. Every Tuesday during our season, the quarterback club goes to the HBRB restaurant and they watch our previous game film and they watch our upcoming opponent, and then they ask me questions. And there's probably about 75 members, and they love to wear their quarterback club shirts. I bet some people are watching right here. They love to sit in the stands, and they like to say what's coming, or they'll say, you know, they'll ask questions. How are you going to stop so-and-so? What are you going to do? And we've had the quarterback club now for about 14 years. It's a great room full of people, and it gives me an opportunity to talk about our kids, you know, academic achievements and who they are as human beings. And yeah, our community really buys into our kids, and it's there is pressure to perform. It's a double-edged sword, two-way street. Our kids understand though that they need to perform, not just on the field but off of it. And you know, all that pressure, I love it, and I think that pressure is what keeps us in line. I dig the pressure as a coach. There's expectations next year. There was expectations last year. We don't get an opportunity here to rebuild. It's what's next, and I love it. And that's why I keep coaching. The game's changing, and I love changing with it. And you know, I got an email yesterday from a wing tee coach in Michigan that saw us on film somewhere, and we've exchanged a couple emails. It's just a different world we live in with the social media aspect of it. And but getting your community to buy in is paramount. But I think the number one way to do that, obviously, is success. But it's giving them a product that they can talk about. You know, in Oakdale here, it's the one thing that unites this community. Every Friday night, there's a lot of things going on in the world, but every Friday night, they know they come to Oakdale and we're all on the same team. I went to Starbucks after a big win a couple years ago, and the dude bought my coffee. It was fun. And he said, you don't understand it. That was such a good win. I was sitting next to somebody I don't like. We turned and high-fived. He goes, there's nothing that would have made me high-five that guy. And I just chuckled, but it kind of hit home to me like, that's what I shared that with our kids. That's what our kids do. They bring this community together, and it gives everybody a rallying point. And it's exciting. It's fun stuff. And I wish we had more games. We don't. We get five home games. That's all we get next year. And that's all our community gets to go into the corral and root for their heroes, and from young to old. And it's just a great opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. And Joey, same thing for you. And I think off of what Trent said, the community now expects success, and I think that's Auburn's mentality right now. So same question to you.
Yeah, I think Merz and I's situations are very similar, where the community is, you know, like you said, it's a great thing, and it can be a negative thing when you know, you know, it's awesome. Our community really cares, but that also can bring some other things with it. But what we've done to get our community involved is, you know, I've got a great booster club, and Chris Ferrer is our booster club president, and we got all these incredible board members. And you know, the dinners, we try to get out into the community. You know, we try to do things that put our kids out in front of people. You know, we try to do things, service projects, and you know, if a lady needs help mowing her grass or something like that, we get kids involved. You know, we have these dinners, we have our kickoff dinner and things like that. And you know, the great thing about places like Placer and Oakdale and some of these other places, you know, you have this long standing tradition where people truly love it. And you know, I talk about it too. Our kids love it. You know, especially the kids that get it. You know, usually kids don't get it till they're about 22 to 25 years old, some older. But I love talking with the kids that are 17, that are ahead of the game, and they're like, Coach, this is special. You know, this is unique. I know not everybody gets to experience this. And so I think as a coach, it's vital. It's vital to create that environment and that culture, not only with your team, but in the community. And in terms of administrators, there's only so much that we can control. You know, I can't control who's principal or superintendent of our school, but I can control the product that we put out, you know, into the community. I can't control how we're out in front of the community and doing things like that. And so those are some of the things that we've done to get our community involved.
Great. And finishing up with you, Casey, and obviously Capital Christian is invested in their football program. They got a great coach and brought you in. So seems like your school is behind you, and now you're in a little different situation. And so what's this question like for you, and kind of lean on you to answer it, obviously.
To come from, Del Oro to, Capital, that's been the big struggle, to be honest with you, finding that. And I echo what Trent and Joe said. I think with that, trying to make it a community event, how can you make it a community event? I think it's very important. We got to get good parents involved. Parents got to get involved and enjoy the ride. You got to have tremendous support staff, besides your coaches, but people doing equipment and just those things that kind of make those game night operations go. And you got to get the students involved, so it's finding ways to get the whole kind of starts on campus and then kind of blends into your community. Trent said something about you got 5 home games. And I think it's very important that, we like to play for causes. You got 5 opportunities to really showcase your product and what you're about. So it's not real hard to have a lot of people do the breast cancer awareness night. Hey, get people in your community to come out that have, experienced breast cancer and honor them. We do. I really believe in the military. My dad being a Vietnam vet, my grandpa, being in the Navy. I'm a big military guy. We have military night, and come on out and appreciate the veterans in your community. Not real hard to do. Have a staff appreciation night. Thank all the staff for all the things they're doing for your kids. Have your kids write letters to the teachers about the impact they've made on them. I think that, as coaches, you can find ways to really have 5 big nights to where you can really make an impact on the field playing, but really making an impact in your community, which, get more people in the stands. It's obviously more financially beneficial to your school as well. And I think, one thing I think that people, like dealing with, and I'm always going to ask, how are things changing? I think everybody wants to be held accountable, but, I think a lot of people now want to be held accountable on their terms. It's hard. I think one thing we talk about is accepting and embracing your role. And I think it's very important when you're putting staffs together, and when you got your teams together, understanding that every role is important. And, hey, embrace it. I don't care if you're, the 48th out of the, guy on the team doing stuff. You have a big impact on this team. It's got to be more than the 10 game. It's the whole year experience. And I think that as, good coaches and good programs, I feel do a great job of really taking advantage of those opportunities and understanding everybody's role. I've had coaches on my staff that, they like coaching the good players. Those guys are easy to coach. It's the ones that aren't very athletically, that are struggling and doing some things. And it's a big part of them being a part of it. So I think it's just really caring about everybody involved, bringing your community in. I think, parents are, I don't know about you guys, but they're either really good or really bad, it seems like, so I think it's really important talking to them and making them get involved. I feel like when we brought dads in to speak to the teams, we brought moms in to get involved. The parents that are involved really understand what we're doing behind the scenes. I think as a coach, or if you're a new coach starting a program, get your parents involved and see what you're talking to your kids about. because the more people understand what you're doing, the better you are. I feel like where I'm at right now, sometimes there's a lot of misinformation of what we're doing. They hear somebody talk down the street, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that, but they haven't really got a chance. They've never met me, never talked to me, have never talked to my players. I think it's very important that you get people out in your community that understand what you're doing. I think that happens at Oakdale, Placer, and Del Oro. And I think that's one of my struggles is really the misinformation that's taking place that, we're doing great things for kids. And I wish people would come out and check it out.
Yeah, no doubt. And guys, we couldn't thank you enough for coming on and being our first test run on doing kind of this coaches panel. We hope to do a lot more of these, and I know that everybody that is watching or will watch it thanks you as well. And we thank you for being coaches. We thank you for all your time, because not many people understand actually how much time you guys dedicate to young men and women around the country, or around your school, and just all the coaches around the country that are doing the same. So from everybody at MaxPreps, we thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll see you around at some fields this year. And Joey, I'll see you tomorrow. Guys,
thanks for doing this.
Yeah, guys, thanks so much, and we'll make sure to get this whole thing in your hands too, so you can have and can share out as well. So really appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks. God bless, fellas.
Yep, God bless.